If you've clicked on this video, I'm sure you are looking in some way to feel better, to feel more balanced. My name is Rachel. I'm a somatic therapist and coach. And if this is your first time with one of my videos, welcome to my channel, the place where you can slow down and tune in. So in this video, we're going to be talking about somatic practices to regulate your nervous system. And it's important before we get into the practices just to know what practices we might need, because depending on how we're feeling, the state of your nervous system, you need different things. So I'm going to walk through the first part of the video is going to be calming practices. And I will give you some little principles, tips that you can use to understand things you might do. You can obviously do the practices I'm going to teach you, but there's also small little shifts you can use to help bring yourself back into balance. So that first part, calming. The second part of the video, the second set of practices is going to be energizing. So those ones, again, different rules apply when you're trying to wake up compared to when you're trying to calm down. And there's a final group of practices that work when you're really disconnected from yourself. I have a separate video for that, and I will link that down below. That goes a little deeper into what's happening if you're just kind of numb, you can't feel anything, you're really disconnected from your body. So I'll link that down below. It's a whole different video of practices, but today we're just going to be focusing on calming and then some energizing practices. And feel free to come back and just do the calming or just do the energizing. Really use this to be a way to meet yourself wherever you are. If you need a little more energy or if you have too much and you need to calm down. So before we jump into the practices, just some simple principles to use if you are feeling really overwhelmed or anxious, or you just can't relax, you're just restless, wiggly, whatever it might be. Here are some things that you want to think about that helps you calm down the nervous system. So the first one is think about bringing awareness to the feet and lower body. Literally connecting to the ground. So when you are anxious or overwhelmed or you're in that kind of fight or flight stress response, usually your energy is pulling you up. And it's a simple thing to just focus on your feet, your lower body. And then think about with that, how do you send energy down into the earth? So this can be, we're going to do a practice that involves movement with this, but this can also be visualization. If you feel like your thoughts are racing, how do you imagine your breath kind of going through your body down into the ground? So just finding ways to center your energy, pulling it down, connecting you into the earth. The next thing you want to think about is forward folding. So when we're coming this way with our body, that has a calming effect. And then the final thing I'm going to mention is using the breath. So when you are really stressed, usually your breath is up here, you're inhaling more than you're exhaling. So a simple thing to know is lengthening the exhale, and that has a calming effect. So you'll see we're going to add these together in the practices, but just so you know why these things work. After we did those practices and noticing how you're feeling now, again, what helps with calming is bringing awareness to the feet, the lower body, And then also working to send energy downward with movements, bending the knees with the legs, or if it's just with a visualization. Forward folding, so anytime we're bringing our body forward, could be seated, you could be standing, that's going to have a calming effect on your nervous system. And then finally, lengthening that exhale, deepening the breath into the belly. Starting in a standing position, feet about hip distance apart, stacking hips over heels, shoulders over hips. And taking a moment to push down through your feet. Almost imagine roots growing from the bottom of your feet down into the earth. And then this first practice is going to be a movement with the feet. So as you inhale, rocking your weight towards your toes. Exhale, rocking your weight towards your heels. And then you are moving with your breath. Inhale forward, exhale back, maybe lifting up onto your toes, maybe lifting up onto your heels. Usually the heels is a little trickier. Moving the slow, steady pace with the breath. And then coming back to center, pausing for a moment. And then exhale, bending your knees a little, and see how that helps to really let your weight drop into the ground. And as you exhale, just rolling weight to one side. Inhale, center. Exhale, over to the other side. Inhaling, center. Exhale, side. And again, really trying to find this even, slow breath. Your body is following your breath. And then coming back to center, you can straighten your legs. Dropping your awareness into your feet. You feel a little more connected. And then we're going to combine those two movements into a circle. So inhaling, weight towards toes. Exhale to the right. Exhale back to your heels, over to the left. And so you're just making this circle. Half the circle is your inhale, half the circle is your exhale. If you want to get fancy with it, you can lift up onto your toes, onto your heels. It does not have to look a certain way. The most important thing is that you're breathing. We don't want to be doing anything that's going to cause you more stress because you're trying to get it perfect. So just let your body make circles in whatever way makes sense for your body. And then we'll reverse that. So taking the circles in the other direction. Again, you can lift up. Whoa. It's a little harder with balance that way. You can just stay planted. You could try one, then try the other. Beautiful. And then coming back to center. Finding that place again, feet hip distance apart, hips over heels, shoulders over hips. Feeling your feet in contact with the ground. And noticing how you're feeling after that practice. Again, no right answer. Your experience is your experience. right, the next practice we're gonna do, we're gonna stay in this standing position and then just bring our hands together, rubbing your hands together to build some heat. Once you have that heat built, we're gonna start with the right arm and just brush down that right arm. Let's really think about using this brush to release any tension or stress that you're holding through your shoulders, through your arms, sending that stress, tension down like it's melting out of your hand into the ground. And doing the same thing on the left side, trying to get all the different parts of your skin, come rubbing the hands, back of the hands in between the fingers. And then brushing down the chest, belly, coming to the back, brushing down the back. It can be helpful to use the backs of your hands, the sides of your waist, and then brushing down the hips. Coming down the right leg. You can get the bottom of your foot. You could always use a wall if you need support with balance. And then the other leg, so brushing down the left leg. Again, getting the top of the foot, bottom of the foot. Coming back to where we started in that balanced standing posture. Could close your eyes for a second. Just notice what you're feeling now. And then the final one we're going to do is we're going to combine a movement with our breath. You can go at your own pace. I'm going to be leading us through a breath rhythm that is a 2-count inhale, a 4-count exhale. But if you're like, nah, that does not work, you could go shorter, you could go longer. You can do this really with the pace of your own breath. The most important thing here is focusing on lengthening the exhale. So starting, you're going to bring your hands to your hips, pushing your feet into the ground, lengthening up through the crown of the head. We're going to inhale here for 1, 2, and then exhale, folding forward for 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, and then we're going to keep going. You can bend your knees if you need to. Inhaling, coming back to center, and then exhale, lengthening that exhale to fold forward. Inhale. And again, finding your own rhythm with this. Sometimes the counting can be supportive. Other times it might cause more stress. So if you cause it stress to count, you can just lengthen the exhale, focusing on making the forward fold a little slower than when you stand up. I'll do one more. And then coming back, resting. Notice how you're feeling now. Hopefully you're feeling a little more grounded, centered, and present. Okay, for the principles for the energizing practices, you want to think about how to move a little quicker. So if you are really tired, your body might feel heavy, you might just move a little slower. And then to counter that in the nervous system, you just want to think about moving a little quicker. So speeding up your pace. This doesn't mean you have to go on a run. If that was the case, I couldn't do that. I'm not a runner. But how do you just speed up? So kind of counter your body's lethargy or kind of heaviness. And then the second thing you want to think about is lengthening the inhale. So it's kind of the opposite of when we are trying to calm down. We want to focus on the inhale, bringing more air into the lungs. Maybe even in the practice, we're going to do this holding the breath at the top of the inhale. All of these things are helping to lift you up to activate and energize you. Then the next one is we want to think about how we can open up the body. So when we are in a more kind of deflated place, we feel heavier. The way to do that is to open the body, to open our chest, to do some little mini even back bends to counter that posture. It actually works with the nervous system. When we're doing these different postures, it shifts the state of the nervous system. The body is amazing, but it's these small little shifts that can have a big difference. So open posture. And back bends. So these are just some general principles to think about of ways you can make small shifts when you're really tired, when you need a little more energy. How can you be more upright? So the final one is how to actually like lengthen your spine, take up more space with your body, stand up. Because actually, the lower we go, so when we're seated, we're a little more relaxed. When you're lying down, you're even more relaxed. So standing up can have a shift in how your nervous system is responding to your environment. So lengthening the spine and standing. And now for our energizing sequence. You can come to standing, feet planted on the ground. And we're going to start with breath of joy. So this is going to be a 3-part inhale we're doing with our breath. It's 3 little sips of air, and then it's going to be an exhale out the mouth. So what that looks like, let me demonstrate, and then I'll have you do it with me. So it's going to be an inhale. We bring our arms to shoulders height. A little more inhale, same breath, just a little more sip of air. So our arms come out, and then another sip of air, arms come up. And then exhale, bending your knees, letting your arms come down. So with the breath, I have to stop talking, but this is what it looks like. So you want to join me. First, releasing all the air out on an exhale. And then as you're ready, we do one more. Coming back to standing. Taking a moment to pause. You can have your eyes closed or a soft focus. Just to notice how you're feeling now. Kind of feel like I just drank a Celsius. Feel hyped up. Cool. And so that one is, it's a kind of an aggressive breath. We're breathing pretty quickly. This next one is a little gentler, but we're still focusing on the inhale. All right, the second practice we're gonna do is linking breath with movement, focusing on our inhale. We're gonna lead up to holding the inhale at the top, and that can mean just a millisecond more. You could hold a little bit longer. You never want to get to the place where you feel like you're choking or you're really straining. We're just slightly lengthening that pause that naturally happens after the inhale. So you want to join me. We're going to inhale, arms up, overhead, pausing, and then exhale, arms back down. Just moving with your breath, focusing on lengthening the inhale, pausing at top, and then just letting the exhale happen without thinking too much about it. We'll do two more. Final one. See if you can hold at the top and maybe a little bit longer. And then exhale, relax, rest, maybe closing your eyes, noticing how you're feeling now. And you can do that just with the breath. We're adding the arms because that's helping to lengthen the spine. But you could do it just with your breath at any time. Just think about lengthening the breath a little and then holding at the top. No one would even know you were doing it. All right, the final energizing practice is we're going to be opening our chest, coming out of our little sad collapse position. That's how I get when I'm sad at collapse. So you can actually step your feet a little wider for this one. We're going to inhale, reaching arms out, expanding across the chest, maybe looking up, and then exhale, crossing. And you can go a little bit into the collapse, the hug, and then inhale, we open up. Exhale, we come opposite cross, and just moving with your breath. Cool, we'll do two more. And then you can release your hands down. You can step your feet back in. And again, just take a moment to notice how you're feeling now. I hope those three practices were a little taste of how you can just make these small shifts with your body, your breath, your awareness to feel a little more energized, a little more alert, and ready for your day. Okay, so we're going to quickly go through this again, just to remind you of the different things we did, why we were doing them, and why they might have that impact of energizing you. So again, moving a little quicker, lengthening the inhale, focusing more on the inhale or holding at the top of the inhale. Open posture, back bending, and then the final one, lengthening the spine. So I hope you're feeling a little more energized from those practices. I hope you are feeling like you have some tools that you can use to bring yourself back into balance, to regulate your nervous system when you're either having too much energy, you're anxious, overwhelmed, or if you're feeling depleted, depressed, to bring yourself back into balance. Let me know in the comments down below what worked for you. Let me know if you have any questions of how to apply this, the principles or the practices in your life, down in the comments down below, and I'm happy to answer your questions.